Hey guys, Zane here with another quick one take review, and today I wanted to talk about the new Pillaging Villagers album, Pillaging Villagers. That's right, this is the self-titled debut album of Pillaging Villagers, a Wisconsin-based crossover thrash metal band who are relatively new on the scene, considering this is their debut album and it only came out very recently, but they're already getting some traction within metal circles. First of all, I quickly wanted to say that the lead singer of this band, David Frazier, actually reached out to me personally to review this album and also gave me a free download code for this record. And I just wanted to say quickly, in video form to him and whoever may be watching this that is aware of him, I'm very appreciative of that. That was super cool of him to do, and it was just, yeah, that's really just what I wanted to say about that. But also, besides the fact that he was just very nice about this whole entire ordeal and requesting that I review this, it's actually a really good record as well. Besides bringing the influences of thrash metal and hardcore punk that everybody knows when thinking of crossover thrash, Pillaging Villagers brings their own sort of Celtic influence to the table that makes them a little bit different from a lot of their peers. I mean, some may understandably find it a cringeworthy sound, but I've always personally liked Celtic-influenced music, especially punk and metal, as I just feel like it's an interesting subdevelopment in the history of intense rock music. Look, the Dropkick Murphys are cool, and nobody's gonna change my mind about that. Although Pillaging Villagers do take an admirable attempt to combine Celtic influences with their crossover sound, I feel like my main issue with it is that they either embrace it too much or not enough depending on the song. Nonetheless, the entire band sounds consistently tight on the record and even managed to pull off some genuinely impressive work on some of the longer tracks, namely the 8-minute or so long song, The Crisis. Frontman David Frazier, who I mentioned before, is also very essential to Pillaging Villagers' overall sound, as his very vicious delivery and slightly scratchy vocal tones are ultimately what define the band. I won't say that Pillaging Villagers' debut is the single most epic album I've heard. It's not even the single most impressive crossover thrash album I've ever heard, but I am genuinely impressed by one thing, which is the fact that they are genuinely impressive and consistent musicians on this record. I mean, sure, there aren't a lot of standout moments that I can really point out here, especially given the album's relatively short runtime, but nonetheless, the entire project sounds extremely well put together, and they absolutely do have a sound that they're going for. At that, they do that sound fairly well overall, and that's why I have to say that this is a very promising debut from a band/project that undoubtedly has even greater things to come, but as it stands, Pillaging Villagers' debut album, I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars out of 5. This was actually a very pleasant listen. I wasn't sure how I felt about it the first time that I heard it, but once I got around to listening to it a second time, I began to dig it a lot more, and there's actually a lot here to like. Again, if you don't really like Celtic influences in your music, you might not dig this one a ton, and there are a lot of people that don't like that, but I personally do, and I think that even though the band either under or overdo it at times, they handle it fairly well overall. Maybe not better than a lot of other bands doing similar things, but fairly well nonetheless. But the main highlight here is the fact that the entirety of Pillaging Villagers as a project really sounds fantastic instrumentally with no hiccups or trip-ups along the way. So again, 3.5 stars out of 5, and with that being said, that's the end of this quick review, and I'll see you guys in the next one.